Good day, everyone, and welcome to Obidient Family TV. The program is Hope Alive. Yes, there is hope, and a new Nigeria is possible. On a good morning, afternoon, and evening, depending your time zone. We are here again today to talk about what is happening in Nigeria. As you know, tomorrow is the 4th of October. And of course, Nigeria is going to be celebrating their 64th independent anniversary. And of course, they call it low-key, but the question is whether there is any need to celebrate, whether low-key or high-key in Nigeria. Tell us that in the comment section. But again, there seems to be a lot of tensions in Abuja as we notice that the whole of Eagle Square, where the organizers and the protesters are insisting on backing on the fearless in October protest, is happening. Police has been deployed, anti-riot squad, the army, the DSS, and even the police has insisted to send their camouflage people around all the whole areas. Whether this is as a request of the protesters for backup, for protection and all of that, that is yet to come out. But we keep our eyes open, listening and getting information coming in. We'll also be discussing another World Bank approval that comes in new 3 loan that is amounting to 1.57 billion US dollars that is meant for Nigeria, aimed at boosting healthcare education. Why do we continue to go into that very borrowing? All of this to have a conversation on and have a valid, probably our own opinion and answers as it were. Joining me to have these discussions, I have active citizens, Obedience, who are joining us from several other locations. And of course, we'll be having this very conversation right away. I will not also fail to bring to your attention that today, USD Account, the interim national coordinator of the Obidient movement worldwide, hosted his first beginning event in Kano State. It was a full packaged event. The Obidient Family TV was to bring this very particular event, live streaming it, but of course the visuals were okay, but of course there was no audio. But what we intend to do is to get the proper distance from them, and then we can now transmit that to active citizens and Obedience. But we will be talking briefly about this and getting reports from the people on that very particular ground. So let's start this conversation with the people that are joining me on Zoom. I have Mr. Basi, all the way from Calabar Municipal. Of course, we have Mr. Tony, Enugu Coal City, and we also have with us a new active citizen, Mama D, who has decided to join us today to have some of the conversation, especially as tomorrow is another day that the tensions are high in Nigeria as regards to protest. So let's get this conversation going. Let me start with Mr. Basi, who always has my favorite because of his analysis skills. So Mr. Basi, let's start this conversation. First, let's even look at what happened in Kano today. We got the visuals. Yes, the audio was poor, but what are your thoughts on what you see, especially as we see that there was massive gathering of Obidient, at least for the first gathering engagement that Dr. Yunusa Tanko staged. What are your thoughts on that? Then we can now escalate to what is happening in Abuja right now, as Abuja seems to be militarized. Tell us your take and your opinion on this, Mr. Basi.
Thank you, Mr. Kano. Good evening. Good evening, fellow Zoom panelists. Good day, Obedience, and listeners across the world. I'd like to correct an impression. That meeting is not the first outing Dr. Tanko is having. He had one over the weekend on Saturday in Abuja with a couple of Obedient across Nigeria, both in physical and in Zoom. So I I must commend him for the hitting the ground running, and his ability to galvanize all the Obedients together and bring them together to see how we can properly organize ourselves. And also, let me also congratulate the Northwest for that massive turnout. Though we had hitches in our linking in with them to bring the live broadcast. Altogether, it was a good outing. There was a lot of encouragement by all the people that turned up, and you could see that excitement and the motivation, and everybody are willing to go. And I like to say that this is a good outing, and if we keep that spirit, in no time we'll be able to cover all the entire nation, and make sure that Obidient have a good structural framework that will be good for us to run on, and at the same time mobilize ourselves going forward. Thank you.
Kini, thank you once again. Yeah, we saw that very crowd. We're impressed, and of course, he said starting from Kano, he will proceed to all the other states. But let's now get to the issue of tomorrow, Mr. Bassi. Tomorrow is tagged the Fearless in October 1st, and the protesters and the organizers have vowed to remain active until their demands are met. It looks like the Tinubu-led government had decided not to dialogue with these known organizers of this Fearless in October protest, because as at now, even the peace committee that was instituted, or rather called for by either Dr. Coker, I said Bishop Coker, I think he has. I think Sowore did not honor that very invitation. And tomorrow is the D-Day. The Army, the SSS, what do they call it? Every law enforcement agency seems in Abuja like it's another war zone. Do you think that tomorrow outing for these protesters will be a thing that Nigerians can say it will work? Do you think that they will allow them to exercise their constitutional right tomorrow? And also note that the Eagle Square, where they are selecting as a place they are going to do this very protest, happens to be the place they are planning for a parade. Whether it is low-key or not, is Eagle Square that is normally used for independent. And this 64th independent anniversary will not be any different. What are your opinion and thoughts on this?
This government are notorious when it comes to clamping down on innocent protesters. I don't see any reason why the entire Abuja or major cities will be militarized, because we have a lot of issues where military should be able to be deployed to. There are a lot of insecurity in the northeast, northwest, north central. Farmers can't go to farm. Those are areas we need military deployment, not deploying military or police to cordon off the entire Eagle Square. By the way, what is there anything for us to celebrate as a nation? After 64 years, what can we boast of? We are still plagued with a lot of social vices, insecurity, hunger, starvation. There's a lot of challenges going on across the country. So what is there for us to celebrate, whether low key or high key or medium key, as the case may be? We don't have anything to celebrate, but rather tomorrow should be a day that government and the official and Nigerian, we should all wear our sackcloth, because it's actually a day of mourning. A child of 66, 64 years should have grown into adulthood and achieve something reasonable. When you compare our contemporaries who had independence the same period we had, they've gone far, far above us. We are lagging behind. So what is there for us to celebrate? That we don't have what we can boast of as democracy. We have what we call dictatorial leadership or form of government. Is it an economy that we can boast of? Tell me, is it in an educational sector? They bastardize our educational sector. So these are some of the things that we need to, look at. So, like I said, we don't have anything to celebrate. I would think that they should allow Nigerians who want to protest to go out peacefully and protest. They should not use that the military or the security agency to clamp down on innocent Nigerians, peaceful Nigerians who are out to protest the hardship that this government has forced on Nigerians, brought upon Nigerians. So we don't have anything to celebrate. So, and tomorrow I would like to call on all Nigerians to come out and register their grievances, their displeasure over the bad management of our economy, over the poor management of our economy, over corruption that have plagued this nation. Every facet of our economy is plagued with corruption. Look at what has happened in the prison, in correctional center. You heard the story that came out, which has been trending over for the past few days. What is going on there? Where people who are supposed to serve their jail term are being kept in private apartment, receiving VIP treatment. Is that a nation we should be proud of? So this is not what we should be talking about. So Nigerians should be allowed to register their grievances, air their opinion, their pour out their anger, their whatever it is. Allow them to vent it out. Don't restrict them. Don't clamp down on them. Because even the people that you are using to the military, the security agency, they are also a victim of this government. So they should know that they need to allow Nigerians to have exercised their fundamental human right without being restricted, without being cornered into a group. I heard that a court in Lagos had already issued an order that they should be restricted into a confined location. Where is that happening in every part of the world? It is the duty of the police to ensure that they provide security for every protester, not that they should be clamped and then restricted into a certain environment that, oh, you can't go out because so that we can have control over who wants to infiltrate. By the way, who are the people that always infiltrate peaceful protests? They are government-sponsored talks. So they should hold their talks, tell them, rein them in, let them know that these people have the right to protest. So this is what I'm saying. The police, the security should allow the protesters to go out and protest peacefully as that they have always been doing. But they should not be intimidated. They should not be victimized in any way. They should not be arrested because the August protesters are still languishing in cell across the country. So this is the time for them to allow these protesters to go out and vent their grievances, because this government have not done well in any form. They have failed Nigerians, and they deserve to be they deserve to be told that nothing is working in this country. And then they should stop using people to see how they can, rent the peaceful protesters in. Rather, they should go out and rent in their thugs, who they have been releasing to victimize, to cause mayhem on innocent protesters. That will be my take for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kanu. Okay, let me quickly
jump to Mama D. Mama D, welcome to Obidient Family TV once again and the program Hope Alive. Right now, I just want to get your take on, do you think that the protest starting from tomorrow will actually make any change in this Tinubu's administration, who seem to have taken the position of state capturing the Nigerian people and not dialoguing even with the organizers of this protest? Do you think that the protesters, the organizers, will achieve the aim of getting Chief Bola Tinubu to revise some of the policies that are hurting the nation now, especially the fuel increase and all of that? Mama D, what's your take, please?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I greet the host. I greet the co-host of Obidient Family TV, Mr. Due Process. Thank you for the invitation, my fellow panelists. Good evening. You called him Chief, okay. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has started something in the country that I would never have thought possible. It is only because of the Obidient family, the movement that came out of nowhere and presented itself as something that understood what was going on. There's nothing like the Obidient movement anywhere in the world. It's the only movement that has ever tackled this. I mean, in the way that it did, the way that it came out of nowhere and took everybody by surprise. I always worry about the fact that we don't actually know what it is that we did. See, these things that we take for granted, that it's something that has been holding us back for such a long time. And I remember I like telling this story of the fact that when I was in Nigeria and I was doing some research, the papers would always say that the problem was because the people did not know. What is it that the people did not know? Everything has come to light since Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reared his head and said it's his turn. All of this knowledge was unknown. Unknown unknowns. Now they are known knowns. We are moving forward. We have taken major strides because of the Obidient movement. And then later, because it's not only obedience that are part of the Obidient movement and have the obedient mindset. On the other hand, you have a mindset that is not even paying any attention to what you're doing at all. I'll give you an example. The example I'm going to give is from one of the agencies over in Nigeria. It's the same all over. They all have their processes, their procedures, the guidelines. They have every single document that you could find. for the organization. So they can bring it and produce it. But it never gets referred to in a day-to-day ongoing occupation under which we find ourselves, because that's what it is. All of those pieces of paper in a folder somewhere, in a desk somewhere, in a cupboard somewhere, never to be referred to. There is no way that the current administration is going to come and decide to have sense. They can't. It's impossible. You're asking for, a chicken to become an egg. It is not going to happen. It's impossible. Unthinkable. They are on a course for themselves, and you have to take Nigeria back from them in a way that they are not going to expect. The same way you did it last time is the same way you're going to do it again, and it is possible. I'll tell you why I know it's possible. COVID shut the entire world down. The whole world stopped because a group of people decided that if that can happen, what Obedience are trying to achieve is possible, is definitely possible. There's no way you can tell me that it's not. Not after COVID. We can do it. But the person that you're appealing to he's not going, that's not how it's going to happen. The revolution is going to be very, very silent and underground. That's the only way to win with the type of despots that we have ruling the country. Obedience can take this back. That's my submission. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mama D. Let me
get our own Tony. Mr. Tony, just still on this very particular topic, I want to know what your take on tomorrow's event. Do you think that positive outcome is going to be guaranteed from this very process, or you think that this is another government taking over the protest time and also victimizing the people who are going to be on the street tomorrow? Or you think that at least an attempt need to be made, and like the protesters say, that they'll continue to go on each until their cry is heard? What is your take and your opinion on what is happening in Ego Square in Abuja right now, and of course across Nigeria? Is anything happening in Enugu, by the way? But let's get to the Abuja, which is the major area that the police has condoned of.
Thank you, Mr. Kano, and welcome active citizens out there, and all those listening in. You're welcome. My take is simple. We have people who are governing us with deaf ears. They don't really think much of the Nigerian people. Remember what happened in August, the last end bad governance. Before that protest, see the effort they put in to try to quench it, to try to make it not happen. They are learning from, it's a template they've learned from. So, I think their thought processes now, in my own opinion, is that we have nipped it in the bud. They can come out and do and protest as much as they can, but nothing is going to happen. It's not going to shift us, shift our position. And that is really bad. And they are hitting the police. I think they are bringing in the military, DSS, and the rest of them, because this government, particularly Wike, is trying to show toughness, that is tough. He can handle anything. People can come up with. And that is why he's going to make sure that nothing really happens. And I really think that these guys are really courageous. Despite what happened last time, they're still coming out. And the rest of the unfortunate thing is that the rest of us, majority of Nigerians, are not giving them support. They're not participating. They're just in their homes talking, agonizing, professing that there's hunger. How will somebody in Britain, actually a regular British citizen, know that you are suffering if you don't come out to tell the whole world what is going on? Whether they like it or not, whether the government does something or not, is telling the world what people are going through, rather, in Nigeria today. So we should encourage them. Anybody who could participate in whatever form to do that. Because even if the world is listening.
Yeah, Tony, when we're talking about the world listening, recall that hunger is just the other day, and Kashim Shettima, the VP, went there. The expectation for protests, just like the other anti-Israel protests happening in the US, didn't you think Nigerians would have protested while the VP Shettima was at that very summit, that very event they went for? Wouldn't they have taken it up to protest so that the world, I brought this up because you mentioned bringing the attention of the world. And also I believe that the world is also watching what is happening in Nigeria. They saw what happened in August, and we did not see much of an outcry of what happened. Many people are still in prison unlawfully. Even people who have been granted bail are making it so difficult that they can't even come out. So I think probably we should be looking at it from the perspective of whether the organizers of this protest and get the massive support from Nigerians to actually call this some sort of, whether it's a mini revolution or what. But the important thing is whether Nigerians will come out from their shell, so to speak, come out from their shell.
Embracing the poverty that has engulfed them. Will they come out from their shell from tomorrow to tell this administration that their policy is hurting Nigerians?
Actually, what we all expect, we expect a good number of people to show up in those protest centers they've carved out. But you and I, as Nigerians, they are really cowards when it comes to coming out to push for change. They will complain from earth to heaven, but when it comes time for action, you see people, pulling back. They're afraid. They don't want to die. They don't want to sustain injury. So it makes it real difficult to organize a revolutionary protest in this country. A protest that will be so strong that the ruling elite will shake into their bones and know that Nigerians can't take it anymore. This is really the kind of revolution that will make any change, any impact on these people, this elite, 0.5% of the population, who have really mortgaged the rest of our lives, and they are enjoying themselves while the rest of Nigerians are suffering. So it's going to require more than having protests in selected centers or towns or cities in the country. It's going to take more than that. But this is just to show that we are doing something. And maybe one day, that time will come when majority of the people will say enough is enough. We have to do something and change our situation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tony. Okay, let me take Mr. Christian's Oche. Christian, I know Niger State is very close and strategic to Abuja. I don't know how the tensions and the preparations, of course, is going on over there. Mina, Suleja, these are very, very close neighbors to Abuja, and you guys have an ear to the ground on what is happening in FCT Abuja. So tell me your take on tomorrow. We learned the locations have been spelled out by the organizers of this protest, and of course, they say it's going to go across the country. But like our own P2B, His Excellency has said, there's a state capture already happening. Now, do you think with the context of this very state capture, in quotes, happening, that the protesters, the organizers will actually get the benefit of bringing back Nigerians to identifying to the old price of fuel and all of that? Again, I need you also to take into cognizance the fact that most of the state governments are already inclined to telling all their state citizens, of course, of each state to not join the protest. Do you think that these active Nigerians can actually come out tomorrow and show their discontentment with the policies that Tinubu's administration has created so much hardship around them?
Fellow members on board, I want to clarify that the October 1st protests have been scheduled, yes, but some Nigerians are having reservations. In respect to revolutionary protests, it doesn't need to come with a long date. We are giving the structure of criminality enough notice to release their biting dogs against us, and given the fact that some of the antecedents of some of the organizers of the protests is being questioned. For instance, Sowore has been somebody that some people have reservation on in respect to his true stand as to whether he's standing really for the movement or he's standing for any personal gain. So it remains to be seen. But here in the States, there are, of course, when Peter talk about state capture, some people don't understand it, but it's already practicalized. A station where the state governor is having over 2,000 aides, having special advisors and all that. So personal aides have been appointed, and they are all sitting down redundantly doing nothing and being paid salary at the end of the month. So we are not expecting much in the state, except if there is any concrete arrangement in respect to the protest. Otherwise, there is no much that's going to happen in the state here. And leaning on the past events that happened during the August protest, a number of suspected leaders of the protests were approached by the state government.
Yeah, but Christian, judging from the hardship and the hunger in Nigeria, don't you think that it's really a time for Nigerians to come out and talk about the increase in this fuel price, of course.
That is actually making things very, very difficult. Don't you think that Nigerians has been pushed too far to the world to actually come out and, of course, express their constitutional right? Because when we keep on talking about, it's about Sowore or not about Sowore, I'm talking about the hunger in the land. Yes, Sowore is actively mobilizing for a protest, whether it is for personal gain, but ultimately, if the fuel price is crashed back to 300 naira for that purpose, I don't know what that is personal about him. But my question again is, don't you think it is about time that Nigerians should react based on the economic hardship in the country collectively as a people?
Mr. Kanu, there's one thing you don't understand. Dele Farotimi, in his sermon, he highlighted how Nigeria has been captured through the religious circle, while the Christians persuade their members to have patience with God through some of the APC arm of religious leaders. And the same thing happened to the Islamic side. They have been persuaded in mosques that whatever they're going through is the act of God, and it is time. They have to endure it. It will come and go. And these are some of the messages that have suppressed our people. We they have been given hope that never exists in real life situation. So, as I speak to you, there is high rates of death already in the states, and all is traceable to hunger situation in the land. But the ideology that protests can actually make a change has not really saturated in the minds of many. And that's why I am not seeing much in terms of massive turnout for the protest. But it remains to be seen if Nigerians are truly ready. Because I believe if Nigerians are ready to participate, there is nothing we cannot achieve with our numbers. But ignorance.
Again, sorry to interject. You know that if Nigerians don't, have that very belief in their electoral process again, Nigerians don't have faith even in the judiciary again. And if Nigerians don't have all of this as we're looking up to 2027, they don't believe it's going to come out right, and they can also not come out in their numbers to protest the hardship, then, like His Excellency Peter Obi said, the state has been captured. What is next to do? I asked this question, by the way, the other day while we were here. What is the next line of action if we that are impoverished, if we that are saying everything is very expensive as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy, which of course we know is criminality in the making and all of that? Why is it that we can't come out within the independence there, which of course is saying there's nothing about independence? Some people has called it a day of survival. Don't you think that Nigerians should come out, it does not matter who the organizers are, this, to at least show that majority of Nigerians are feeling this very bite? I see federal government doing a lot of interventions of rights. That is normal thing that they do. Just today, I also saw where they were showcasing the CNG buses that they brought out, which of course, like we know, those things will fizzle out. At the end of the day, the masses might not even end up being able to use these very buses that we are talking about. We also saw 1.57 billion US dollars as another loan that they are taking, and it's not reflecting in the Nigerian economic situation. So I'm saying, don't you think it's about time that Nigerians need to come together and get their voices heard by this administration?
The time is ripe, but the people are not ripe. The people is the factor we are talking about here. It's left for you and I who storm the streets, but it's not up to you and I alone. It has to do with the majority. The majority are in the dark. The majority still don't see the light. They don't see what we are talking about. They don't see the deficits in this government. The majority don't even know if there was a loan grant of $1.57 billion given to Tinubu administration already. The majority don't know. At the grassroots, they don't have this information. And even at the end of the day, when we are sensitizing them, they sound defeated. So I'm looking up to tomorrow to see if the people actually will be awakened. But to me, I don't think so. I expect activities to happen in Abuja, Lagos, because these are places where you have more informed people. But in places where there are less information, you don't expect much turnout because they don't even believe in the tool of protest in the first place. These are people that have been brainwashed that protest is a sin. Are you getting the angle I'm coming from? But with time, when they begin to see the resultant effects from other states, they're beginning to join. Like the August protest, it started in Lagos and Abuja, and Kano joined, and other cities joined. So that is the way it's going to be. With time, if the momentum is sustained, other cities will join, and other villages will start coming to the city center to participate.
All right. Thank you very much, Christian. I think
at your point where you're coming from, we have religious leaders who are not leading by example. I get your point in that they are not emphasizing that. Instead, they are also selling spiritual waters and the spiritual things for the masses to, of course, get that very information, get their own take of what is remaining from the poor people. But okay, we don't have to blame them, because if we are expecting them, at least they should do the needful. They have large congregations, and they could, of course, talk to their congregations to come out and show their displeasure in a peaceful protest. But we guess that most are getting contracts, working in different states. That is what we see happening, coming out from the news and all of that. So, state capture it is. But then, talking to the Nigerians and active citizens, because there is one thing that Christian has said, that Nigerian people seem defeated. Well, I don't believe that the Nigerian people are defeated. I believe that the Nigerian people are just waiting. Maybe they think that the time is not ripe yet. But I would say the time is now, because most people cannot afford two. I'm not talking about 3 square miles on each of the families. So if you want to stay put in your house and don't come out to express your frustration, your anger, it is your right. You have the constitutional right to come out and, of course, show your grievance in a peaceful way, so that other people will also see you and join. And that is how you have a massive gathering. Thank you, viewers and Obedience Worldwide. Thank you, all our people who are following us on like, share, and of course, give us your opinion of what your thoughts are on tomorrow's Independent Day of Survival. That is a protest we're talking about. Tell us your take on it, your position, and of course, give us also the reporting of your events of tomorrow as it goes on, as we might be broadcasting, joining live on different platforms, which will be showcasing what is happening in their areas. So thank you very much. And of course, we will not fail to thank the people who have joined us today. Thank you, Mama D, for coming on board. Thank you, Mr. Basi, and of course, Christian and Tony. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion with us at this very time. Until tomorrow, when we come back again to showcase what is happening across Nigeria, to see how Nigerians wish to react on the economic realities on ground. We say bye for now.